Theresa May served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom between 2016 and 2019. May, who is known to maintain a fiercely private and steely image, has had a very successful career as a politician. She is Britain's longest-serving Home Secretary and has been in the office for the past 6 years. She has been known for her tough stance on controlling drugs and drafting a tough anti-drug policy, as well as reforming the police services. She has also strengthened surveillance measures via the so-called Snoopers Charter. Theresa May had a varied education spanning both the state and private sectors, and both grammar school and comprehensive school. She read geography at St. Hugh's College, Oxford University. She started her career at the Bank of England and went on to hold posts at the Association for Payment Clearing Services, APACS. Theresa May has been involved in politics at all levels for many years. She served as a councillor in the London Borough of Merton before being elected as the Member of Parliament for Maidenhead in 1997. She held several roles as a member of the Shadow Cabinet from 1999 to 2010, including as the first female chairman of the Conservative Party. Following the general election of 2010, she was appointed Home Secretary and went on to become the longest-serving Conservative Home Secretary for over a century. During this time she oversaw significant reforms of the police, established the College of Policing and the National Crime Agency, and oversaw the introduction of the Modern Slavery Act to tackle slavery and trafficking. She also served as Minister for Women and Equalities from 2010 to 12. Theresa May was elected as leader of the Conservative Party and appointed as Prime Minister on July 13, 2016. In her first speech as Prime Minister she committed her government to tackling what she described as burning injustices. She went on to establish the UK's first ever race disparity audit to uncover racial disparities in public services, and announced the largest expansion of mental health services in a generation through the NHS long-term plan, which also saw a record funding increase to the NHS worth over £20 billion. Theresa May launched the 25-year Environment Plan to tackle issues such as plastic waste, and in 2019 she formally committed the UK to achieving net zero climate emissions by 2050, making Britain the first major economy to do so. During her time in Downing Street, the UK's national debt fell, employment reached a record high, and income taxes were cut for 32 million people. As part of her government's economic policy, she published a modern industrial strategy to promote future job creation across the whole of the UK. The dominant issue for much of her premiership was the UK's exit from the European Union. As Prime Minister, she formally notified the EU of the UK's intention to leave in the Article 50 letter of March 29, 2017. Her administration took forward negotiations with the European Union on the terms of the UK's exit and future relationship. The EU Withdrawal Act was passed in 2018, but divisions in Parliament meant there was insufficient support in Parliament to pass the withdrawal agreement reached with the EU. Later, much of the content of the negotiations would become the basis of the eventual withdrawal agreement. In her approach to negotiations, she held firm in her commitment to negotiating one set of terms covering all parts of the United Kingdom. Twice as Prime Minister, Theresa May coordinated the UK's response to the use of chemical weapons. First, in March 2018 when the nerve agent Novichok was used on the streets of Salisbury. Shortly after the attack she presented intelligence to the House of Commons that pointed to Russian state culpability, and led a coordinated response to secure the largest ever collective expulsion of Russian intelligence officers around the world. In April of the same year, after exhausting diplomatic channels, she authorized the UK's armed forces to intervene in Syria following the Douma chemical weapons attack by the Assad regime. Theresa May served as Prime Minister until July 24, 2019. She was re-elected as MP for Maidenhead in December 2019. Investigatory Powers Act 2016, European Union, Notification of Withdrawal, Act 2017, European Union, Withdrawal, Act 2018, Climate Change Act, 2050 Target Amendment, Order 2019. Theresa May was the UK's second female Prime Minister and the first world leader to serve with type 1 diabetes. May is a British retired politician who served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and leader of the Conservative Party from 2016 to 2019. She previously served as Home Secretary from 2010 to 2016. She was Member of Parliament, MP, for Maidenhead from 1997 to 2024. May is the second female UK Prime Minister, after Margaret Thatcher, and the first woman to hold two of the great offices of state. Ideologically, May is a one-nation conservative. May grew up in Oxfordshire and attended St Hugh's College, Oxford. After graduating in 1977, she worked at the Bank of England and the Association for Payment Clearing Services. She also served as a councillor for Durnsford in Merton. After two unsuccessful attempts to be elected to the House of Commons, she was elected as the MP for the new seat of Maidenhead at the 1997 general election. From 1999 to 2010, May held several roles in shadow cabinets, and was chair of the Conservative Party from 2002 to 2003. Following the formation of the coalition government after the 2010 general election, May was appointed Home Secretary and Minister for Women and Equalities, giving up the latter role in 2012. Reappointed after the Conservatives won the 2015 general election, she became the longest-serving Home Secretary in over 60 years. During her tenure she pursued reform of the Police Federation, implemented a harder line on drugs policy, including banning khat, and further restricted immigration. She oversaw the introduction of elected police and crime commissioners, the deportation of Abu Qatada and the creation of the College of Policing and the National Crime Agency. Although she supported the unsuccessful Remain campaign, May supported Brexit following the outcome of the 2016 referendum. She was elected and appointed Prime Minister unopposed to succeed Cameron after Andrea Leadsom withdrew from the contest. As Prime Minister, May began the process of withdrawing the UK from the EU, triggering Article 50 in March 2017. In April she announced a snap general election, with the aims of strengthening her hand in Brexit negotiations and highlighting her strong and stable leadership. This resulted in a hung parliament with the number of Conservative seats reduced to 317, from 330, despite the highest vote share since 1983 and the largest increase in electoral support enjoyed by a governing party since 1832. The loss of an overall majority prompted her to enter a confidence and supply arrangement with the Democratic Unionist Party, DUP, of Northern Ireland to support a minority government. Following the 2017 election, May's premiership continued to be dominated by Brexit, in particular by her government's negotiations with the EU, adhering to the Chequers Plan, which led to a draft Brexit withdrawal agreement. Other events that occurred during May's premiership included terrorist attacks in Westminster, the Manchester Arena and London Bridge, the Grenfell Tower fire and the Windrush scandal. Her government announced the NHS long-term plan and was responsible for negotiating and approving the near entirety of the UK's terms of exit from the EU. May was also a prominent figure in leading the international condemnation and response to Russia over the poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal in March 2018. May survived two votes of no confidence in December 2018 and January 2019, but after versions of her draft withdrawal agreement were rejected by Parliament 3 times and her party's poor performance in the May 2019 European Parliament election, she left office on July 24 and was succeeded by Boris Johnson, her former Foreign Secretary. May remained in the House of Commons as a backbencher until she stood down at the 2024 general election, and was succeeded as MP for Maidenhead by Liberal Democrat Joshua Reynolds. In historical rankings of prime ministers, academics and journalists have ranked May in the bottom fourth quartile. On July 13, 2016, 2 days after becoming leader of the Conservative Party, May was appointed Prime Minister by Queen Elizabeth II, becoming the second female British Prime Minister after Margaret Thatcher. Addressing the world's media outside 10 Downing Street, May said that she was honored and humbled to become Prime Minister. On becoming Prime Minister, May became the first woman to have held two of the great offices of state. Responding to some calls for an early general election, sources close to Mrs. May said there was no need for such an election. In a speech after her appointment, May emphasized the term unionist in the name of the Conservative Party, reminding all of the precious bond between England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. By July 15, May had travelled to Edinburgh to meet with First Minister Nicola Sturgeon to reinforce the bond between Scotland and the rest of the United Kingdom. After leaving 10 Downing Street, May took her place on the back benches, remaining an MP to devote her full time to her constituency of Maidenhead, Berkshire. In the 2019 general election, she was re-elected as the constituency's MP. In May 2020, May criticized Dominic Cummings when he broke lockdown rules during the COVID-19 pandemic. She abstained in the vote on the second lockdown in Parliament. On July 13, 2021, May was one of 24 Conservative MPs who voted against their party, defying the whip for the first time in 24 years, over the government's proposal to cut its foreign aid budget. She criticized the government, saying in an address to Parliament, "We made a promise to the poorest people in the world. The government have broken that promise." Amid the Partygate scandal, May was critical of Boris Johnson after the publication of the summary of the Sue Gray report, stating either my right honourable friend had not read the rules or didn't understand what they meant, and others around him, or they didn't think the rules applied to number 10. Which was it? On March 16, 2022, Russia banned May from visiting the country over the war in Ukraine. 343. In September 2023, the House of Commons official portrait of May by artist Sid Dye was unveiled. In a radio interview with Nick Robinson, she said that her Brexit deal would have been better and that she regretted saying nothing has changed. Also in that month, May's book titled The Abuse of Power, Confronting Injustice in Public Life was published. In October 2023, May appeared as the guest star in 2 episodes of The Rest is Politics, Leading, hosted by Alastair Campbell, and a former minister in her government, Rory Stewart. In March 2023, May was reselected as the Conservative candidate for Maidenhead at the 2024 general election. However, in March 2024, May announced that she would not seek re-election as an MP at the general election, joining a record number of Conservative MPs standing down at the election. May said she is spending much of her time on causes close to my heart. These causes have been taking an increasing amount of my time. Because of this, after much careful thought and consideration, I have realized that, looking ahead, I would no longer be able to do my job as an MP in the way I believe is right and my constituents deserve. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called May a relentless campaigner who had been fiercely loyal to Maidenhead, and added that she defines what it means to be a public servant. Her predecessor David Cameron called her a brilliant public servant who could hold her head high, and said she had done much to modernise the Conservative Party and promote women in public life. Leader of the opposition Keir Starmer thanked May for her service, saying that she had served this House and her constituents with a real sense of duty, and added that her unwavering commitment to ending modern slavery is commended by all of us. May has been mentioned as a possible candidate to replace NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg following his expected retirement in 2023. In June 2021, British Secretary of State for Defence Ben Wallace expressed support for a potential May candidacy, saying she would be an excellent candidate. Following her retirement from the House of Commons, May has been identified as a potential candidate in the 2024 University of Oxford Chancellor election to succeed Chris Patten. In June 2024, it was reported that May would be given a peerage in the 2024 dissolution honours, and this was confirmed following the publication of the list on July 4. She was succeeded as MP for Maidenhead by Liberal Democrat Joshua Reynolds, the first Liberal MP to be elected to represent this constituency in over 100 years. May has been married to Sir Philip May, an investment relationship manager currently employed by Capital International, since September 6, 1980. It has been reported that former Prime Minister of Pakistan Benazir Bhutto introduced the two during their time at Oxford. May credits future Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull for encouraging Philip to propose to her. May has expressed regret that she and her husband did not have children. The Mays are passionate walkers, and they regularly spend their holidays hiking in the Swiss Alps. May is also a cricket fan, stating that Sir Geoffrey Boycott was one of her sporting heroes. She also enjoys cooking, and has said that she owns 100 cookery books. Philip has said that she is a very good cook. May and her husband reside in the Thames village of Sonning, which is within her constituency. She is the first cousin once removed of Labour MP Alastair Strathern. May is a member of the Church of England and regularly worships at church, usually at St Andrew's, Sonning, on Sunday. The daughter of an Anglican priest, Hubert Brazier, May has said that her Christian faith is part of me. It is part of who I am and therefore how I approach things. May is known for a love of fashion, and in particular of distinctive shoes. She wore leopard print shoes at her Nasty Party speech in 2002, as well as her final cabinet meeting as Home Secretary in 2016. On Desert Island Discs in 2014, she chose a subscription to Vogue as her luxury item. However, she has been critical of the media focusing on her fashion instead of her achievements as a politician. May was diagnosed with diabetes mellitus of type 1 in November 2012. She is treated with daily insulin injections. Following her husband's knighthood in the 2019 dissolution honours, she has been entitled to be styled as Lady May. As of February 2, 2022, May's listing on Parliament's website, her own website, and social media do not use the style Lady May. Some of her awards. Prior to and since her appointment to government, May has actively supported a variety of campaigns on policy issues in her constituency and at national level. She has spoken at the Fawcett Society promoting the cross-party issue of gender equality. She is the patron of Reading University Conservative Association, in Berkshire, the county of her Maidenhead constituency. Her activism has earned her a number of awards. She was nominated as one of the Society's Inspiring Women of 2006. In February 2013, BBC Radio 4's Woman's Hour described her as Britain's second most powerful woman after Queen Elizabeth II. May was Home Secretary at the time, and the most senior woman in that government. In 2001 she was made a liveryman of the Worshipful Company of Marketers. In September 2017, she was listed by Forbes as the second most powerful woman in the world, behind Angela Merkel. Thank you for watching video.